now that you're finished with your episode of in the Black Box series, which is called Fashion Killer, and you're doing it in English and with English-speaking people, so I guess my question is, how is it to direct untrained actors?
I wouldn't say it's very challenging. The biggest issue for me was to try and find this balance between finding the limit of each actor and learning how important it is to not try and force them to say each line if it doesn't feel as natural to them, and to let them improvise if they have to.
Aren't you the girl who sits at the front in Mr. Jefferson's art class? Emma, right?
Vanessa, what are you doing here?
You know, we've been filming some student projects, and you have done several, I guess.
Yeah.
What are some of the kind of easiest traps you can fall into when you're making these kind of movies?
Continuity. Continuity errors is the biggest issue that we have, and of course it has happened a lot of times during the series as well. But I think something that really is noticeable is sound. Bad sound quality is the death of every production.
I would argue that the most challenging part is the communication between the crew, especially. It depends also on the location, but when you have to shoot something for many hours, let's say 10 hours, and you have to be in that same location with those people for so long, and you know, if problems arise, it gets really heated, and people start getting mad, and you know, things just start to fall apart very quickly. So it's important to just try and keep a cool head and, you know, face those challenges without getting so stressed, like I did.
Yeah. And
Okay, how stressed did you get?
Very stressed. The second day, the first and the third day went by quite well. The second day was, yeah.
What happened on the second day?
Well, we had to shoot a lot. We had to shoot 5.5 pages of script, and it took us about 9-10 hours, I think. And we had to shoot everything in this tiny room at the movie theater here in Volda. And we had a ton of actors, a ton of extras compared to a lot of the other episodes. And this room was just tiny, and it was hot outside. It was humid, and the windows had to be shut because of birds and planes. Why are there so many planes in Volda? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it was really stressful. But we made it happen. So.
I don't know who has written the story, but what inspired the plot of the movie?
I can't really speak for the original idea. We've kept some elements, but the two students that originally wrote this story are very interested in fashion, so that's how that core concept started. But then when I took over and my other two co-writers, we wanted to sort of focus on this aspect of despite being like a perfect society, you can't actually trust anybody. It's about trust, and I don't want to really spoil that much, but there is a certain event that happens in this episode that really portrays how fragile that trust is, despite that society being so perfect, seemingly perfect.
Emma! You look marvellous.
Well, you don't look so bad yourself.
Thank you, I look fabulous. Great work. Look, any questions? Want to ask me anything?
You're both students here, and this is all part of a learning process. So, what have you learned by doing this movie?
This specific movie. Well, you don't just learn about your specific role, because that's an obvious thing, but you also learn so much more about working with a big crew, how to communicate effectively, and if you don't communicate effectively, what do you have to do in order to improve. You learn about logistics, you learn about so many things, booking locations, booking actors, so many interesting things. how to handle very heavy technical equipment. Yeah. Do you have any comments?
Yeah. So what they did last year, because this is the second time this course is running, so last year was the first one. So last year they were smaller groups. I think there were groups of 4 or 5 trying to do their each individual episodes. But we decided this year that we wanted to use the whole class as one crew to have a larger, a larger set and kind of feeling like it was real. So we gave everybody their like main role, so everybody got this head of department role for at least one episode, and then they were brought in as camera crew or production assistants or help where we needed. So we had probably 10-15 people on set. Now we have some people that are joining the NRK for one of their series, and they say that it's pretty similar to what we had. The only difference is that we help each other so we don't define the roles 100%. We help each other where it's needed, whereas in a professional setting you have a role and that's what you're going to do. So a lot of the people that have been on set now has learned a lot from their part and by interacting with other from the class as to whom how a set really is.
Such conduct is not tolerated here, Miss Smith. You're hereby disqualified. Good day.
Any final words in regards of Black Box series and Fashion Killer?
Well, we're happy with how it turned out. We hope everybody that sees the episode likes it, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, enjoy.